Hello and good morning, students. Once again, good to see you in this 26th revision lecture of ours. In today's revision lecture, I will be taking up practice exercises related to tenses. Earlier, we had the regular as well as the revision lecture about tenses. We are going to revise tenses in a very precise manner today, taking up word exercise dedicated to each one of it. That is, filling up blanks with only present tenses, only past tenses, and then future tenses. Well, this will help us to understand the use and the structure of tenses better. Well, before we get into the exercises and practice a lot about it, let us have a quick understanding about the different structures that you already learned. But with the passage of time, we tend to forget it. Therefore, it's important to revise these structures properly. So here are the 13 structures as being displayed on your screen. Let us read and understand each structure with relevant examples. The first three set of structures that you see is the present, past and future in the simple form. That is present simple form, the past simple form and the future simple form. The present simple form has the base form of the verb as you see in the example. I go to the cinema every week, where the word go is in its basic form. In the past simple form, we have the conversion of the basic form into its one of the past tenses. As you see in this example over here, I went to the cinema last week. But observe the change over here. In the present simple form, we had I go to the cinema every week. Whereas in the past simple form, we changed it to I went to the cinema last week. So every week and last week is the other necessary changes required when you change a simple form, a simple present into a simple past, or when you write one of its kind. Have a look at the simple future. The use of the future expressing word, that is the word will, the auxiliary verb will, plus the bare infinitive. Bare infinitive is the infinitive without the use of the preposition to. It's called a bare infinitive. Will plus bare infinitive. As in the example, I will plus go. Go is the bare infinitive. So I will go to the cinema with you. So these are the three structures of the simple present. Let us now look at the present, past and future continuous. Well, we already know that a continuous tense is used when an ongoing action is taking place, whether in the present, past or future. The structure of the present continuous tense contains the auxiliary verbs am, are, is, plus the present participle form of the verb. That is the first form of the verb, or we also say as the ing form of the verb. As you see in the example over here, I am watching, where the word I am is a contraction of two words. I, which is the pronoun, first person singular, and am, which has been contracted using an apostrophe. So I am watching a film. So what have we used over here? We have used the auxiliary verb am plus watching, which is watch plus ing, the present participle form of the verb. Similarly, in the past continuous, we use was or were. Was for the singular, were for the plural subject, followed by the present participle form of the verb. The example, I plus was plus watching plus a film earlier, which is the other part of the sentence, or we call it as complement of the sentence. Finally, in the future continuous, if you observe the structure carefully, you will find the use of the auxiliary verb will, and along with that we are using the be, the verb beb in its original form. Will be plus the present participle form of the verb. Have a look at the example. I will be watching a film at 8 p.m. tonight. So in all these three sentences, if you carefully observe, we have differences in its complement over here. I am watching a film. But when you're saying the past continuous, I was watching a film, and then we required or there's the necessity to add the word earlier in order to indicate the time. Similarly, in the future continuous, I will be watching a film at 8 p.m. tonight in order to make your meaning clear. Well, these were the three continuous forms, that is the present continuous, past continuous and future continuous. I hope you have acknowledged and memorized the structures very carefully. Let us proceed with the next set of structures. The perfect tenses. The present perfect tense is structured using the auxiliary verbs has or have. Have is used for a plural subject, has is used for a singular subject, plus the past participle form of the verb, that is the third form of the verb, or what you call as the papa form of the verb. I have seen Harry Potter 3 times. So you mean to say that you have either just seen or completed seen, or a little time has passed when you just finished seeing Harry Potter 3 times. The past perfect uses the structure had plus past participle, just as we had the past participle in the present tense, the present perfect. So here we use had instead of has or have. So we don't have to be bothered about the singular subject or the plural subject. No matter the subject is singular or plural, we use just one auxiliary verb, that is had. Subject plus had plus past participle form of the verb and followed by the other words, that is the complement. Have a look at the example. By the time I arrived at the cinema, the film had finished. So you see, we are using the dependent clause along with the independent clause. By the time I arrived at the cinema is the dependent clause. The film had finished is the independent clause, which has the word had finished. So I hope this is clear to you. The future perfect uses the structure will have plus past participle form of the verb. As you see in the example, I will have finished watching season 2 of Game of Thrones by 9 p.m. So you are trying to say that when 9 o'clock strikes in the watch, your action of seeing or watching the season 2 of Game of Thrones will be completed. So you are trying to express a future action to be completed at that given point of time. Therefore, we use the structure will have plus the past participle. So observe, in all the three perfect tenses, we have used the past participle form of the verb. Do not forget this. Moving ahead with the next perfect tenses, the present perfect continuous, the past perfect continuous and the future perfect continuous, which is the combination of the two tenses, the perfect tense and the continuous tense. So be a little careful. Has or have plus been plus perfect plus present participle form of the verb. So we are using has or have from the perfect tenses, then we are applying the word BW and been, and then we are using the present participle, that is the ing form of the verb. So remember, the contribution from the perfect tenses is has or have, and the contribution from the continuous is the ing form. So whenever you write a continuous form, that is either the only continuous or the perfect continuous, at all given point of times, the ing form is a must, is a compulsion. Look at the example of the present perfect continuous. I have been sitting outside for 2 hours now. It means what? That the action started 2 hours ago of sitting outside at a place, and it is still in continuation. So the structure is has or have, depends upon the subject singularity or plurality, then followed by the word BW and been, and then adding the ing form of the verb to it. Well, remember this carefully. The past perfect continuous uses had, only had. There is no choice of has or have with regards to singularity or plurality. Had plus been plus present participle, the ing form. Have a look at the example. I had been waiting in the queue for 20 minutes before we were told to go home. So the action of waiting in the queue started 20 minutes earlier, and 20 minutes have passed by now, before an instruction was given. The future perfect continuous tense. Have a look at the structure. Will have plus been plus present participle form of the verb. Well, there is an error in the image. Ignore it. Present participle form of the verb. Have a look at the sentence given to us. When I graduate, I will have been studying philosophy for 3 years. So you started your studying of philosophy 3 years earlier, 3 years ago. And when you are going to say this in future, 3 years will have been completed. So when I graduate, the day when you graduate, I will have been studying philosophy for 3 years. Well, these were the 12 tenses or the structure of tenses we looked into. Let us now see the 13th and the last one. As discussed earlier, future with the going to form uses the structure am, are, is plus the going word, going plus the infinitive, whatever is applicable. So am, are, is plus going plus infinitive. Have a look at the example. I am going to visit my parents next weekend. Future of intention. So you are intending to meet your parents next weekend. Where we have used the structure I, that is the subject, am, which is the auxiliary verb, plus going, the word itself, and then we are using the infinitive, the to infinitive, to plus the bare infinitive visit. Altogether it makes I am going to visit, followed by the complement my parents next weekend. As you may have observed, all continuous tenses use a form of the verb BEB and a present participle, whereas all perfect tenses use a form of the verb have and a past participle as discussed earlier. Well, this was all about the 13 structures. Now after having revised 13 tense structures, let us take up the first exercise, fill in the blanks with appropriate verb forms in different present tense form and complete the sentence. So this is a small passage in which you will have to fill in the blank with only the present tense form. And likely there are 2 more exercises dedicated to the past tense and then to the future tense. Let's do this one. Fill in the blanks with appropriate verb forms. In different present tense forms. To begin the passage, the teacher said that light dash in a straight line. Bracket will be given the word travel as the verb. Copy down the entire passage and then we will be discussing the necessary present tense form verbs to be filled in this passage. Rajiv dash try to draw the diagrams in his practical notebook. And want want to revise the points explained in class. He dash have to submit his file in the brackets his file and dash give a presentation the next day. He dash surf the internet since evening to get more information. On the topic so that his presentation dash be very informative, dash be very informative. To give a presentation on any topic of his choice. Since the new session began. Well, this was the little passage that we just wrote. Now we'll insert a different present tense form suitably. Let's read through it. The teacher said that light dash and the word given to us is travel. It is in its bare infinitive form. We can say it is its original form or the base form. So we are supposed to use whatever suitable form of the present tense required. So as you read, you will be able to catch it up. The teacher said that light travels. Remember, we learned about the principal clause as well as the dependent clause. If the principal clause is in the past tense, then we compulsorily require the verb to be in the past tense. Well, but we had an exception to that. Exception to that, if you remember, isn't it? The teacher said. So we are saying the teacher said something. That light, can I say traveled, because just we have the word said over here. In the principal clause, we have teacher said. Can I write that light traveled? So we have an exceptional case over here. That is what we learned earlier. That no matter if we have the principal clause in the past, but if the subordinate clause has got some universal truth or something that stands true at all times, then we will be using the suitable tense over there or the present tense form. Therefore, the teacher said that light travels in a straight line, and we will not be writing traveled as per the rule. Travels in a straight line. Further, Rajiv dash tried to draw the diagrams. What is Rajiv doing? Rajiv dash to draw the diagrams in his practical notebook and dash to revise the points explained in the class. Here comes the end of the sentence. So Rajiv, at the moment when we are speaking, or when we are conveying, or when we are seeing, so at the time of speaking, we have to use the present continuous tense. So Rajiv is drawing the diagrams. Therefore, I will be requiring the present continuous over here. Is drawing the diagrams in his practical notebook, and at the same time dash to revise the point explained in the class. So points have been explained earlier, but he wants to do it at the moment. So he wants to revise. Therefore, I require the simple present over here with the S applied over there in order to be in accordance with the subject. To revise the point explained in the class, he dash have to submit his file and dash a presentation on chapter like the next day. It is the next sentence. So let's see. He dash will be given the auxiliary verb over here, that is have. But because we have the subjective over here, can we write have? He have to? No. We'll have to change it to the necessary word, that is in accordance with subject. He has to. He has to submit his file and dash a presentation on chapter. So, and give a presentation on the chapter like. So, it is simple present in the base form. And give a presentation on chapter like the next day. Isn't it? He, no doubt, he will have to give. But at the moment we are talking about the current situation. So, we will be using and give a presentation on the chapter like the next day. Well, next. He dashed the internet source. He dashed the internet since evening. So, since evening, he was doing the action of surf. Can I write? He surfed the internet. No, I will be required to write over here an appropriate form of the present tense. He is surfing the internet since evening. So, from the time he started, still he is doing. So, we will be using the present continuous. He is surfing. Can I write? Because again the word given to me is since over here. So have a proper look over here. He is surfing. Can I write is surfing over here? He is surfing the internet since evening. Have a look at the word evening over here. We learned about it. When we have the word since, indicates that an action began some time ago and still it is happening. So he has been surfing, isn't it? We'll have to write over here the present perfect continuous. He has been surfing the internet since evening to get more information. So let's write it. He has been surfing the internet since evening to get more information on the topic, so that his presentation dash very informative. So his presentation is very informative. He wants it to be informative, so that he has got a lot of information to say about it, so that his presentation is So one of the members of the bee family is very, well, we have got other members too, that is are or was or were, but right now we are writing about the present forms. We have got three present forms and is and are. So of which is the most suitable one as per the sentence, so that his presentation is very informative. Next, the teacher dash asked him. So the word is asked over here. The brackets, the verb is asked. The teacher dashed him to give a presentation on any topic of his choice since the new session began. The teacher had asked him, isn't it? The teacher had asked. Are we writing the past perfect over here? No, we are not using past tense. We are using the present tenses over here. The teacher has asked him. So we will be writing the present perfect. That is the need of the teacher has asked him to give a presentation. So we will be using a present perfect because some time ago or that particular day the message was given to Rajiv that you need to prepare a topic. The teacher has asked him to give a presentation on any topic of his choice since the new session began. So in this manner we inserted all the different present tense forms in this little passage over here. Next we have fill in the blanks with the appropriate verb forms in various past tense forms. So all the past tense forms we will be practicing in the upcoming passage. Let's write the passage first and then we will be inserting the necessary blanks. Let's modify this. Fill in the blanks with the appropriate verb forms in the different past tense forms. Let us write the passage. During the floods in the village, the rescue team during the floods in the village, evacuate the people and dash move them to safer places. That we have the word move them to safer places. Several volunteers dash provide them food and clothes. Several volunteers dash provide them food and clothes. And the government dash order several tents to be set up. The affected people dash be in a miserable state and dash feel insecure meanwhile the embankment dash repair wherever it dash develop cracks. Repair wherever it dash develop cracks. After a few days, the water level dash, and we have a word recede, 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 and the villagers said, and the villagers said that they had look after well they dash thank the volunteers and the government Let us now insert necessary forms of the past tense, necessary past tense form of the verbs in these blanks. During the floods in the village, the rescue team dash evacuate the people and dash move them to safer places. That's the first sentence in this passage. Analyzing it carefully, you will understand and realize that during the floods, so at that particular point of time in the village, the rescue team evacuated. We simply require the simple past over here. Evacuated the people. Evacuated the people and moved them. So once again we require the simple past over here. Move them to safer places. Several volunteers dash them food and clothes, and the government dash ordered several tents to be set up. Well, carefully read this one. You will be able to find out the tents required over here. Several volunteers provided them. So once again in this blank we require nothing but the simple past. Provided them food and clothes, and the government ordered. So this also contains simple past. Ordered several tents to be set up. The affected people dash in a miserable state. We require the member of the B family over here. So let's think about it and write it. We've got the words was and were. Depends upon the subject. The affected people, we have the word people as a plural over here. So when the subject is plural, we will be requiring a plural verb to agree with it. Hence, we will be using the word were and not was. Let's insert. The affected people were in a miserable state and dash insecure. So at that point of time, they felt insecure, isn't it? They felt insecure. They felt insecure. Meanwhile, the embankment dash repaired where it dash developed cracks. So the embankment for the place where the crack was developed was repaired. So meanwhile the embankment were repaired. We require the word were repaired. Meanwhile the embankment were repaired wherever it had developed, because the damage had already happened. So wherever it had developed, wherever the cracks were developed cracks. After a few days, the water level dash receded. So the water level declined or came down. The water level receded, came down. So we require a simple past over here. Recede is the word given to us. R-E-C-E-D-E-D, receded. And the villagers said that they dash look after well. Further, the villagers are saying that they will take a good care. So what is the verb that we require over the tense over here? So the action of taking care of them started earlier, isn't it? So who took care? The government and the volunteers. So they had looked after them very well. So they had been looked after well. Let's write over here. We require the past perfect tense. They had been looked after well. Next sentence. They dash thanked the volunteers and the government authorities for all they dash. So still we have two blanks to fill up. They thanked. So we require a simple past over here. They thanked the volunteers and the government authorities for all that they have already finished doing. So had done. We require past perfect. So they had done over here. Well, in this manner, we have filled up the simple past and all the other past forms of the verbs in this passage. Let us now look into the next one, that is the future tense. Fill in the blanks with the appropriate future verb forms in the various forms of future tense and complete these sentences. Let us practice this third one. Fill in the blanks with the appropriate verb forms in the different future tense. Let's modify this. Future tense forms. Let's begin the passage. Roger Federer dash play. In the bracket we have the word play, which we'll be using to write the future tense, with Rafael Nadal in the next match it dash going to be an exciting match to watch. The fans dash reach the stadium much in advance and I dash go with my friends the match dash over by the time the next women's doubles match. Begins in an adjacent court both the players dash play for almost 2 hours. Before the final result, final result is announced. Because they are equally good. My parents dash watch the match. On TV. But I am eager to watch it live. Well, this is the third and final passage about the future tense. Let's insert different future tense verb forms as given to us in the brackets. First one, Roger Federer dash played with Rafael Nadal. Let me tell you, Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal are two players playing the game of lawn tennis. Well, so it becomes easy for you to pursue the whole passage. Roger Federer dash play with Rafael Nadal in the next match. So we are saying he is going to play, isn't it? So we are trying to talk about the future tense, and hence we are inserting a future tense for the verb will be playing. So Roger Federer will be playing with Rafael Nadal in the next match. Hence, let us write this: will be playing with Rafael Nadal in the next match. It dash going to. So we've been given the going to form as we learned earlier. Going to form. So we just need to insert the appropriate auxiliary verb over here. It is going to be. So we are saying it in the future time. So we are using the present continuous tense over in order to express the future. So it is going to be because we are discussing about the future match today. It is going to be an exciting match to watch. The fans dash reach the stadium much in advance. We are saying the fans will be reaching there. So we'll be insert the word over here. The fans will be reaching using the future continuous tense. The fans will be reaching the stadium much in advance, and I dash go. Well, the base from the verb go is given to us. I will be going. So you are telling about yourself that you also will be going. I will be going. Future continuous with my friends. The match dash over by the next women's doubles match. So we are anticipating over here the match dash over by the time. See, so we are saying that one match is going to get over by the time the next women's doubles match begins, and that too in an adjacent quote over here. Well, so we'll be inserting will be over. Will be over. Over is the verb given to us. So we are using the simple future over here. Will be over by the next women's doubles match begins in an adjacent quote. Both the players dash play for almost 2 hours before the final result is announced because they are equally good. A long sentence, but have a careful understanding. Both the players dash play. So we are going to use one of the forms of the word play, but for that we need to have a careful look at this part. For almost 2 hours before, so you have got an action that started some time ago and till now 2 hours would have been passed. Therefore, you will be required to insert will have played, the future perfect tense. Both the players will have played for 2 hours. Will have played because 2 hours should have been passed by then. For almost 2 hours before what? Before the final result is announced, because they are equally good. So they are having a great competition between them. Finally, my parents dash watch the match on TV, but I am eager to watch it live. Watch it live. So my parents dash watch the match on TV. They will watch. Simple future is required. My parents will watch. They are going to do the action of watching the match. They will watch. And what am I going to do? I am eager to watch it live in the stadium. Well, so these were the 3 passages that we completed. One with the present, one with the past, and one with the future. I hope this practice must have helped you individually to understand the different forms of the present, past and future tense forms of the verbs. Well, this was all for today's lecture. See you soon in the upcoming lecture. Till then, take care. Have a nice day. Goodbye.